releasing a joint EP called Fallen. Can you take me back to recording that EP?
Yeah, and that was produced by Rob Lewis, the same, the guy who did What You Want. Me and Rob came up with this song, and Flex was just starting to get on the radio, or he was, making his moves, and me and him was still running through the motions as kids. Like, yo, we're a group, he didn't really have anything to do with that song. We gave him the song, whatever, and I got a little bit of play. This is before, I had ran into some legal problems, got, in the streets. I'm not trying to give too much away because I want people to read this book when I put it out. But,
Right.
I found myself on the tier in the prison, and I was singing this reggae song called Operation Radication. And I was walking around this Operation Radication, them have to run. Them have to run when radication come. And I always had this voice, but I don't have to talk like that. When I get excited or I raise my voice, that shit would come out. So this Jamaican brother who I'll never see again in my life, he looked at me and he said, why you not rap like that when you do your Yankee thing? Because he heard me rapping regular. Then he heard me doing the reggae shit. And he was like, why don't you do that when you rap like a Yank? Well, he was just saying why you don't come that aggressive and sound. And I just looked at him. And I went home. When I got released, I went home and I wrote this song called Real Street Nigga. And I called Flex, I'm a real street nigga. Straight from the Bronx, home of hip hop. There is no comp. He was like, oh my God, I never heard nobody sound like. So we called Jazzy J from Zulu Nation. He had a studio on Allerton Avenue, and I went up there and I recorded that record. And somehow Todd Terry heard that record, and we did a song called 9 Goes Bang. When I started really, really getting into it, and then we got lucky. Flex got offered this. He had 6 Million Ways to Die was an instrumental. It was just supposed to be an instrumental, but he told me to come to the studio. I came to the studio. He said, "Yo, you got something for this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I ain't have shit." So I was like, give me a minute. I went in the bathroom, smoking joint, right in. I'm like, pop goes the gap. I get over like a fabulous. So I came out, and Tragedy Intelligent Hoodlum was at the studio with us, hanging out. That's my man. And I got a rhyme too. So me and him did the song. And it was just supposed to play on the radio a couple times, whatever. But then Nervous heard the record and was like, yo, we want this record. But they didn't want to deal with tragic people. So it's like, can your boy do another verse? So I put the second verse in the middle of it to replace Intelligent Hoodlum on the song. And then we thought, okay, finally, boom, let's go. You know what I mean? We got a record. We shot a video. It was my first video ever. And it was exciting. We thought, like, yeah, Funkmaster Flex and 9 Double M. We on our way. But, things happen and shit was taking too long, and I had a little buzz.
Right.
A little strip. Back then, just being on the radio was enough. Being on Video Music Box and having your song played on the radio, you could walk around with your chest out crazy, because that was hard as hell to do. To get Ralph to play the video, or even not even get him, just to get in his radar. You know what I mean? Or just to get to the point where somebody's going to play it on the radio. Like, these kids don't understand. All this YouTube shit, Instagram shit, all this shit. We ain't have none of that shit, yo.
Right.
You had to go to actual spots and rap at a showcase, but if you could get on the radio, you was special. Never mind Video Music Box. You here. You on Video Music Box. Rob McDaniels just said your name. Like, yo, this next joint is like, it's like, you in your house jumping around, screaming, or your family happy. Like, shit was different, So that had happened for me, and then nothing else was happening. Flex was really carving out his career, and it really had nothing to do with getting a record deal or having a rapper, and I saw that. So I was like, I gotta do this, I gotta break away from him. I gotta just, and it wasn't like it was friendly. I don't want people to think that it was nasty. It was kind of nasty.
Right.
He wasn't happy with that.
At this point, what's the buzz like when you dropped 6 Million Ways to Die? And does that create a bidding war? Are labels interested in you at this point?
Right, they were, but they were introduced. They were interested in Funkmaster Flex and 9
Mm.
because that's that record. So we had Loud Records on deck. I'll never forget. We had Loud Records. And, I said I'll never forget. Now I'm forgetting because those labels don't really exist no more. But there was a lot of labels that was we want to fuck with this. Plus, Flex is on the radio, so they thinking got a DJ on the radio with his rap guy, it's gonna work. But me and Flex, it you know, our friendship was based on hip hop. It wasn't
Gotcha.
based on, like, I look back at it now when people say, why you in? He ain't come up with me in the trenches. He wasn't a street dude. He wasn't a dude I call when it's time to bang the hammer, or if I got into beef, I would call him. He called me when he got in beef. I would
Right.
always come when he got, because I was the street friend. He called me when somebody fucking with him or talking crazy, like Chuck too. They both called me. I was the littlest guy out the crew, but I would bang my joint. You know what I mean? They knew I was a street nigga, so I would come. But besides that, we didn't have a foundation of a friendship besides
Gotcha.
music. So once our ideas of music started to change, because that "Come On Baby, Come On," that was supposed to be my next single. I was like, hell no. I
Mm.
was like, I'm not rapping off that. To me, that shit was just mad. I'm not doing that. And he was
Right.
like, yo, you don't understand how to get money. I was like, nah, B, I'm not. So we started separating there. And then, like I said, he started getting big-headed.
Uh,
If you think he's big-headed now, it began from there. And I can talk about him like this because I don't give a fuck. I'm telling the truth. You know what I mean? I'm not one of them
right.
guys he's not gonna bark on me the way he does all these other dudes. He will never do that shit. I know too much.
Right.
Ugly for him. He started getting big headed. Like, I'm that dude now. Because when we was in the group together, Tito Centipede from Deuces used to treat him like, you just the DJ. You know what I mean? So he resented that. So once he got power, it was like, now what? You know what I mean? So I understand
Right.
why people's behavior is what it is. So once
Right.
I realized that I had to get away from that shit, and they didn't understand, I had already shopped the album. And when I was shopping the album, all those labels that was interested in us was like, all right, I'm going to call Flex tomorrow. And I was like, well, I'm not with Flex no more. And they was like, oh,
Mm.
okay, well, let me give you a call Tuesday or call me Tuesday. And I would call them on Tuesday and they'd be like, I'm cleaning my toenails right now. I can't talk. Like, everybody was scared of him. You have to imagine, this is the early 90s. Radio was everything. And all he had was 3 hours. But those 3 hours were so powerful, they didn't want to piss him off. Because I guess
Mm.
he was running around telling, they was like, yo, you're his MC. I'm like, he's my DJ. Even though his career had surpassed mine at the moment, they don't understand. I found this guy in the basement. I gave him the name Flex. His name was Funkmaster. Until I started rapping Funkmaster Flex, the funk, and all those rhymes, and he changed his name. Like, they don't understand that. So, I started to realize that I had to just go for it, if I
Right.
wanted to do it. So after I got the record deal with Profile, they didn't understand. I had What You Want in the tuck.
What other labels were interested and why did you go with Profile? What about
Well,
Profile was so
Profile
appealing?
was the only label that wasn't afraid of Flex.
Ah.
Because he used to work for them. He was their A&R. They weren't afraid of him. They weren't afraid of anything because they really just didn't care. They were vultures. But at the time, they were the only guys who, you know, when I bought that demo down there, they was like, we got 80,000 for you, which was peanuts for what guys was getting. But you gotta remember, I've been trying to get a record deal since 1985, since I was a kid.
Right.
And I lost my job. I got a brand new baby in my house. It was like 80,000. Whew, that's what it is. So, I took the deal. And I had the deal for about 4 months before they really, I thought maybe I'm a tax write-off. Because I knew a lot of guys in my neighborhood that got record deals. They would get 40,000, half the money up front, 30,000, come home, buy a car, but record would never come out.
Mm.
He found out they got dropped or they was attacked. So I thought maybe, that might be what's happening to me, maybe. And I blame Flex for a lot of this shit. You know what I mean? I wasn't able to move. People was so afraid, like, I don't fuck with you. And nigga Flex, I need him to play my records. It was really bad for me. He probably doesn't even know this. Or maybe he does know it. Maybe he's responsible for it. I have no accurate proof of it to sit here and say he did this to me. So I won't
Right.
say that. But the narrative was, if you fuck with 9 Double M, you're gonna have a problem with Flex.
Mm.
So a lot of dudes, and I was a pariah almost at the time.
You talked about dropping What You Want. What was that buzz like before the album came out when you dropped that single?
Now see, when I got the record deal, I didn't play that record for them because I didn't have it. Like
Mm.
that whole demo that I got the record deal with, we never used any of those records. As soon as I got the record deal and I saw what was going on, I was like, yo, I gotta really master my shit. Now, when I made 6 Million Ways to Die, Busta Rhymes, I used to hang around leaders of the new school. They used to be at the tunnel, the red zone, the supper club. These were the spots where Flex was DJing and I was carrying records and I'm coming in. So I'm one of the guys. They thought I was just, Flex's. I never told them I rap. And I would sit at the table. Charlie Dinko and Buster would be spitting and I'd just be like banging on the table like a fan. Like I carry Flex records. They ain't know nothing. So when I did the video for 6 Million Ways to Die, before I did it, Flex played it for Buster. And he was like, whoever this is, he's pretty good, but he needs to get control of that style. He needs to own it. He said a lot of, and when you're young and it's coming from another young dude, you like, man, what?
Right.
He was absolutely right. Because he's in the 6 Million Ways to Die video. If you really look, Buster goes, he was there. And I
Okay.
told him, he was like, yo, I didn't know you was 9 Double M, man. I said, yo, what you said, it's no problem. I'm new. I'm trying to get my feet wet. I'm trying to keep changing. Even though I wasn't a new artist, I was trying to keep adapting and changing. So that advice he gave me was so important because if you play 6 Million Ways to Die and you play What You Want, the light years, and it's all from what Buster said. So when I got the beat for What You Want, and I didn't even like the beat, I went in and I said, yo, I gotta make this, this is one of them beats where it don't even matter if somebody's rapping. When I heard it, I loved it, but I didn't like it. I didn't want to rap on it. It was soft to me. It was like, I wanted to do Red Rum. I had Red Rum at the time. And girls liked What You Want. They could give 2 fucks about Red Rum. I used to play it and, I was married at the time and I would play it for wife's friends and they wouldn't pay no attention to Red Rum. But when What You Want came on in my house, they would be like, oh, turn that up. So I was like, yo, this is the record we gonna use. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I took that record and Special Ed was in the room. And I said, yo, where's my money? Where's the deal? Let's go. And he was like, well, we still working. And I said, yo, press play. And I performed What You Want live right in the A&R's office. And a month later, we was filming a video. Like they knew that record was, like I knew that record was it. And I
Right.
only imagine if I was on a major label, if I was with Bad Boy, or I was with somebody that could have really, took that record and my style to where it needed to go, like what would have happened, at the time.
What was the details for that profile deal? Was it for a multi-album? Of course, you did 2 albums. What was the specifics to the deal at Profile?
I mean, I was signed to them as an artist. Back then, slavery deals they were actually better than they are now, which is really sad. But it was another slavery deal. I had to give them 4 albums or some crazy, you know, for the amount of money. But I had little stipulations. If I sold this much, I get extra. And, at the time, we never really thought record sales really mattered because most of the dudes we knew didn't make money off selling records. They made
Right.
money off of having a hit record and doing shows and, doing a thing. So when I was working with them, it was like they didn't believe in me. I was like the last piece of trying to save that label, like I think. And the record hit. And then the album hit. So when it was time to do my second album, they were already in turmoil.
Hmm.
Yeah, but they were bringing in artists. They had Camp Low. That Camp Low project came through while I was working on my second album. And I'm not going to lie, I'm an honest man. Y'all was hating on them. I was so angry because I was like Kingpin up there. And then these niggas came through with that. This is it, what? I was like, them niggas is whack. I was definitely not feeling that because they was, I knew how good they were.
Right.
And, they also had a different focus and different production, and music was starting to change again. Like I got in on the end of what it is that I was doing or what I was taught. Right. So when it started to switch, I could have followed it, but it was like, nah, fuck that. I'm going to do this Cloud9 shit. We're going to go dark. We're going to do orchestrated music. Like we had this whole plan. We're going to do something completely opposite, which I'm glad I did. It was a bad idea then because it derailed me, to a point where I had to do Lion King at the last minute so we would have a single.
Right. Let's jump back to the first album before we get into Cloud9. You had such a big buzz with What You Want. What was the game plan going into that debut album? What did you hope to accomplish? And what was the creative process going into your debut album?
Man, like I said, we was kids still, and mentally, we was just winging it. When What You Want hit and pop, Rob was a smart guy. He came with the NEMC. Another beat I didn't really like. I didn't really like it. But, we threw the Rakim in there, NEMC that disagreed with me. And I was like, all right, I can fuck with it, you know what I mean? Because there was another sample with that same, there was another record with that same sample. It was Rapping Forte. And he had the spinners singing. Wherever you call me. I'm like, yo, how are we going to use the same joint and he got this, you know what I mean? Like, this is not going to work. But we didn't hear his record first. We already had it. So there was no turning back. And that was the next single they picked. So what we was trying to do was get out there. I knew What You Want was a special record. I didn't know I was gonna walk right in and, you know what I mean? Be able to bang with the big boys like that. I was number 3 on the chart with them. I was like, woo! Only Biggie and Craig Mack was topping me on the rap chart. So I was feeling good.
This is 95.
Right. So I was feeling good, but at the same time, I wasn't a business kid. And like I said, I had just got out of madness. Drug selling, drug abuse, all kind of shit. So my brain was just, finally, I'm independent. I'm making some money. I'm doing my thing and I'm living. So it was overwhelming to have a hit record, to be in a building. Biggie comes off the elevator. I'm like, yo, Big, what up? These dudes is, meeting Redman. I did a show with Redman. He kicked my ass. He taught me a lesson. I went on before him and I did a bunch of shit and then I did my hit record. And he was like, yo, I'm sorry about what I'm about to do to you, but you gonna learn. You better do that. You better do that first, that hit that they know first. He said, watch this. And he came out, time for some action, and destroyed me. It was like I could have just stood in the crowd. People would have walked right past me. So I learned a lot of shit the hard way. That's another fault. Like, I'm not one of those dudes is going to sit here and blame the label or blame radio or blame this person. I was not on top of my game business-wise. I didn't have any sense in it. I trusted people. I didn't know what I was doing. I was loyal to a fault, working with the same producer. That was my man. We did 5 years together trying to get on. So when people was telling me, yo, you need to get some other production. Let's get this Pete Rock beat. Let's go get this. I was like, nah, I'm staying with my man. So, I was dumb, and I paid for it.
Can you remember what those sessions were like making that debut album?
Yeah, it was easy for us because I would go to his house. He had this was a dude who had the little studio in his bedroom. So me and him recording together, it was like, and I'm still to this day, I don't go to the studio. I don't write rhymes at the studio. I don't bring people to the studio with me to hang out.
Right.
I don't do none of that because that, you know what I mean? To me, that's my space. That's my escape. So when I go in there, if I take 2 takes or 3 takes to complete a record, I fucked up. Everyone who knows me that ever worked with me be like, yo, that's 1 take 9. I walk in there, I spit that shit, and I'm out. If the record's 5 minutes, my session is 20 minutes long because I gotta do ad libs but that's it. I'm finished. So we never had one of those times where we were in the studio for mad long, but we were excited and happy
Right.
because What You Want was already popping and we were finishing the album and it was a great time. It just felt good. We had no responsibility, even though I had a young son. There was no real life responsibility the way it is now.
When you finished that album and turned it into the label, what was their reaction to that
Oh
album?
no, they was hype.
Yeah.
They was hype. I was that guy there. Like I said, I was that dude. They was like, they was feeling it. And I was breaking, they wasn't spending no money for this to happen. This was all off of my voice, my originality, which I was taught that you're supposed to add to the culture, not steal from it, not sound like somebody else. Well, I won't listen to you for if I could listen to him. You know, when I was growing up, I remember going to the record store with my man, and we bought Public Enemy, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, Eric B. and Rakim, Stetson Sonic. We bought like 5 albums, Salt and Pepper, and none of them shit sound the same. None of them was even using the same slang. None of this shit, it was like, that's what I come from. When you
Right.
come on, Slick Rick come on. It's Slick Rick. You ain't got to say his name 100 times in a record. You ain't got to say his name at all. We know who it is. I wanted to be one of those dudes. When Nine come on, it's Nine. Nothing sounds like this. Either you love it or hate it. I don't care. I'm not trying to, everybody's not going to love you,
Right.
but it's not going to be no in between. It's not going to be like, yeah, he remind me of, you ain't going to say that. You're going to say, yo, I love what he do when I'm in the mood for the way I treat music, my life. When I'm in a certain mood, I want to hear Griselda. I'm in the mood for Kendrick right now. I want some of it. Or I'm in the mood for Lil Baby, one of my favorites out of the new guys. Music is all about moods.
Right.
No one can just satisfy all your moods with their music. You want to have a variety. I just want to be one of those people that you go to when you feel in a certain way. Whether you want to party, dance, you want to hit bars, I want to have something for that in my lane that
Right.
fits your playlist of life. And that's what it's really all boils down to.
When you finished that album and you dropped it, what was the reaction from the general public?
Well, nah, people was loving it. I was doing shows in places I wasn't even ready for it. I was on big ass stages in front of it was crazy. And the love, coming from someone who didn't get nothing, no, thinking that you put in a lot of work and you weren't getting accolades or getting love. Like when I was getting it, it was like this is what it is, and it's not really a good thing all the time.
You ended up dropping, I believe, 3 singles for the album. Do you think Jive did a good job? I'm sorry, Profile did a good job at promoting the record?
No, hell no. They did nothing. I got $15,000 for my first video for What You Want. Videos were like 80,000, 90,000 at the time. They gave me $15,000 and we went and found some independent guys. And I said, yo, I just need a Jeep with no doors. I need a dark-skinned chick because everybody got light-skinned chicks in their video. I always do the opposite. I said, I want a dark-skinned girl. We're going to drive that shit up fucking Broadway till we get to 42nd, till we get to Washington Square Park. I'm going to get out the Jeep, spit right there, get back in the Jeep and pull off. That's the video. And they were looking at me like, all right, this shit could work. You know what I mean? And that's what
Right.
we did. And the record blew up. And if it was with a bigger label, it probably would have been, I know it would have been a lot more, but I'm proud of what we did at the time. Like, they didn't spend no money. They didn't promote, which is why I was like, the second time around, it was like, all right, he did it before. They didn't call in, you know what I mean? Like, let me get
Right.
this beat from this dude. They didn't call this feature from this artist. Like, let me get this. It wasn't like that back then. This label was the worst. Profile Records is an old school thinking label that was ran by the devil, Steve Plotnicki, who was just a lawyer, a Jewish lawyer who was partners with Corey Robbins. And when he took over, it was like, well, this shit works. These niggas do their thing and I get money.
Uh,
So he wasn't about building artists, and I ain't have no management, nothing.